Welcome back to the Rainbow Six Siege Masterclass. What the actual hell is going on with the wall here? What the This is going to be bad habits or like the part two to it. We're going to actually look at some good habits starting off, and this wall is really messing with my brain. The original video to this will be linked in the description, so let's get into entry routes. So the goal for today's entry route is to make it all the way to Laundry Room and do it as safe as possible. And I actually believe that the fuel pump spawn is one of the safest spawns in Outback, contrary to what most people think. Normally this spawn is an absolute shocking, abysmal spawn point. There's about 20 spawn peaks, punch hole locations, and windows and runouts, and it seems very counterintuitive to spawn here, but for example, if they do go the default first site of Laundry Room, we want to get there as efficiently as possible. A good entry route will allow us to gain a lot of map control, either by ourselves or with another person, and cause a huge amount of distraction for the team that's going to go over to this area and attempt to get main breach and pressure that side, which will happen almost every single time. When your drone spawns in, is immediately rush to garage door, use the drone boost. We want to get it in through this drone hole as fast as possible. It will give the defender no time to be in this area of the map to destroy our drone, allowing us to get a drone in completely undetected, like so. Once we've done that, we can wait for the drone phase to end. We can look at our teammates' drones, which they've probably gone and suicided or potentially pre-placed. You might gain some extra information. You might be able to pick up on what operators they're playing, especially if you're playing solo, to get some more intel outside of your drone, which you have pre-placed for your entry because you're a smart cookie. Now, when you spawn in, you'll have access to two default cams, default cam number 1 and default cam number 2. You can immediately isolate those cams out and then get to this point. There is an ability for someone to swing out here and peek you, so that's the first threat. Then we can walk down this tanker, avoiding being further back and exposed to the wall. And a good way to know if someone's trying to peek off of this wall is if there's any either like burn marks or fragmentation marks from like an impact grenade or someone open it with a shotgun. It's not always easy to see depending on how it's open. It's a little easier if it's an impact, but it's a good method to checking it. Anyways, move down the tanker, then you can check the top wall, move up, check the window, check the door, make sure there's no one peeking it. If there is, then you can take a little bit more time or try and engage. If not, move over to Optimus Prime here, and then you use the headlight on the lorry to check the bottom corner of this window, which is another very common spawn peek. Now, this is a very one-way peek. When you're using this light to check the bottom of the window, because of the shine and the shimmer and the reflections, so to speak, it makes it harder to see you than it is for you to see them, because you don't appear to get any reflections here because the light or main light source is over on this side. Even on very low graphic settings like what I have to optimize performance, it still is noticeable. Now, once you've cleared that spawn peak, you can then come over to the window. You can prepare by throwing out a drone. You can put it on the window frame if you really want. You can punch out a piece of the window, shoot out the section on the bottom, and then peek the door. What this will allow is the window not only to be vaultable by hitting out 3 down, 2 across, and then shooting a single 1x1 section, but it will mean anyone that is potentially in and around this area that goes, oh, I had that window open, let me go peek that. They're going to come and peek this big hole, because monkey brain see big hole thinks that your monkey brain going to put face in it. But no, we smart monkeys here, all right? We're going to just aim here. We're going to see an elbow or a shoulder and shoot straight through the wood onto the person. Then we can retreat to a very comfortable position in this corner, as it's very hard for anyone, even if they do run up to the window, to see anyone in this spot. Then we can jump our drone through, check these areas, check the mechanic shop, and then bring it out to this point where we're in the cocktail bar and lobby section. We can leave our drone here. Then we can quickly check the door again, depending on how much time this is taking or if you heard any steps. Now we've locked down that door. All right. So anyone wants to come through this, they're going to hit the air jab. We're going to have time to get off our drone and then deal with that or re-jab the door if necessary. Now we can bring our drone through the main entrance area, check out all of these weird corners. I somehow drove behind a sign. And then bring it to the bottom of Shark Stairs, and this will act as a temporary flank cam whilst we get on our drone that we pre-placed earlier in kitchen. Now we can use this drone to quickly come through, check behind the bar. We can drive it through this way, check behind the fridge, and then bring it out into the hallway, reptile hallway like so, park it up, and now this is a flank cam. Now, we have two drones in position right now. We have one in reptile hallway, which is going to allow us to see anyone rotating from further away, but we know this entire bottom section is clean for now, allowing us to jump in. The only potential threat point is then this door. We can loosely-goosely check around and then get into the lobby, shoot the jukebox so we can actually hear things. Because I swear to God, that jukebox is a master of disguising footsteps and full sprinting docks. That jukebox has screwed me over when it has not been shot before. Now, we can check, again, top shark. We can see if there's anyone peering over the edge. Obviously, there is a giant prehistoric dinosaur in the way at this point, effectively. And then we can check the reptile hallway again. Then we can move through, come all the way up to this point, shoot out the cam very safely, get into kitchen, and try to take as much ground as possible. This works even quicker if you have a teammate that can just look at these drones. Then you don't have to stop, check. You can just sprint through these sections because you can have a teammate just bouncing between these two drones, checking the points because you already have the air jab watching the other point. When you get to kitchen, you can just throw an air jab on the hotel sign. Now, once that's done, when this air jab gets hit further on down the line, because we're going to push up shark stairs eventually, if someone hits this air jab, you hop on this drone, and this is the drone that you have, like, you want to be last on. So when you hit your drone key again, you open up to this drone, not, for example, if I have it on the shark drone, I open up to the shark drone. I always want to leave my final drone that I was on to this drone. So that way, if I hear an air jab go off, and I know it's this one, I check the drone, and I see if the person that's been knocked over here decides to run away back to site, or continue on forward with the aggression. Now, once you've done that, you can get to the bottom of shark stairs and then switch back over to your other drone. I know it's a little complicated, but you're going to have to keep up here. Bring your drone up to the top of shark stairs to see if there's anyone peering over the edge. Now, once you've done that, you have the ability to walk out freely into this area and put an air jab. You want to try and put it as far over to this side as you can without sticking it to the edge, and then you can start moving up onto the shark stairs. This air jab here will pretty much cover out to these chairs. It's very difficult. You'd have to be like right up against the edge to not be hit by it, and that's a very suboptimal position. And again, the drone that you have at the top of shark can then be brought forward. You can check mechanical ball to see if there's any threats here, and then move over just so you can be aware of someone in party in case they try to come and shoot you through the wall, as this is an area that is unknown at this point. Again, you switch back to this drone. Because if I'm pushing up and I hear an air jab go off, I go like this. Okay, he's running away. Okay, I don't need to worry, but now I need to be aware that there's no air jab watching this flank. If I check this, and it's the other air jab, I know it's going to take him a little bit of time to try and rush this area, so I can either force my entry point or fall back, deal with that. Now, if someone hits the air jab up here, it's then very easy to swing and deal with this person, as long as there is no one in picnic. That's why we leave our drone here. We can bring it in, check picnic, and then go on. That is a good entry route. If done efficiently, just by yourself, let's say you don't have another person to either help you drone or sit on your drones, it can take around about a minute to get to this point and then start droning the ball side. That is a really, really good entry route. It's really strong, especially on Outback. 3 air jabs, we've taken control over 45% of the map effectively at that point, and we're then able to pressure the backside of site and make it very difficult for people to then rotate onto us and get flanks off. A quick side note before I move on to the next point, which is things that you can do with drones. This light is not bulletproof. The metal is, but the light is not, so you can shoot through this light onto the window, and the window can shoot back through the light. Okay, now on Outback, there is some very interesting things with the way that drones work and operate, and hitboxes and leaning. Now you have the ability to see where your drone, in a sense, is being thrown. You can actually see where it's going to go, and if you get the positioning right, you can see that you can place your drone quite literally inside of the wall and then drive around inside of the wall, get into the map, and see through the map. You can drive all around the top, and it doesn't seem to fall out in many places, but you can't hack through as you are technically in a solid wall at this point. And you also can't use the Twitch drone through this, but this is proof that you can get like a Brava drone up here and other drones into certain positions in a similar fashion. Again, you just come up, you lean, you aim pretty low, and then you get the ability to place the drone inside the hitbox, and then you can drive it around, and you can get some pretty good lines of sight with the drones in these spots, because you can get it all under the roof and into really unique spots. And unfortunately, this is a completely glitched thing, and I don't think there's much you can do to counter the drones in this sense. Now, the drones are completely bulletproof, and you can see through the map, so that's entirely broken. Okay, now, for the final part of this video, we're going to talk about operator selection. Now, this is actually a really bad habit that a lot of people have, and still have to this day at any level of the game, is that people will typically play an operator that they feel comfortable with, that they feel like they're going to pop off with. Not an operator that is technically complementary to the site or the site setup. Typically find people maybe picking a Vigil just to go and roam instead of picking a Jaeger, throwing down ADSs, you know, to deny some utility on a site setup, and then going and roaming with that Jaeger. Something that can provide use on site whilst they're off site, and this is actually a really bad habit. For example, if you're playing this site and you've bought a mute to do the breach, obviously you're not intending to hold the breach, maybe you mute trick it a little bit, but you know in reality that they really want this breach, they are most likely going to get it, and that's fine. You set up your jammers, all of that. All right, cool. They're going to open that breach. You know it's going to happen. It's only a matter of time. Or now you want anti-utility to then hold the site better. Maybe you have an Aruni, puts up the gates on the windows. Maybe there's one on this side. It's an ADS or something, like on this doorway. Maybe even over here in the bathroom. And then there's like an ADS over here to support maybe an Azami playing. All of that is a complementary thing. Okay, you bring two anti-utilities, you got one anti-breacher, maybe you have like a site support op, kind of like Azami in that sense of like you can do some modifications to the site setup. Maybe you bring a Melusi and place down some Melusi vibrate-y devices, for example, to like deny area or time, or just give a simple sound cue that someone's there. And you can do that by like placing like a Melusi up here in the bushes, and that would hide it better and would be a complementary operator. Instead of taking an operator like Vigil, which is very roam orientated in its ability to hide from drones and make it harder to be drowned out, take a Jaeger, provide more utility to the site, some extraordinarily powerful utility, as Jaeger's utility is one of the most powerful in the game, instead of taking that operator that you feel comfortable with roaming, or an ACOG so you can go spawn peek, and give something for the site, then disappear. And always make it a habit to utilize 9 to 10 reinforcements. Like, always put them down. How many times are you in a game and there's still 7 reinforcements? There's still 5 reinforcements left. Yeah, okay, maybe your team got the main breach, maybe got the more important walls done, like the hallway to piano, and maybe did something like a mirror setup, maybe did one of these walls, and that was it. That's it, they're done, they're out. Okay, you still have a little bit of time after that timer effectively starts the round for the attack in the side. You can always throw down a few more reinforcements. I can understand if you use 9 and you need a reinforcement, like I say, you come back through a rotation, bang, you reinforce the wall and bunker up a site, that's completely fine. But always make it a habit to utilize the reinforcements. Some sites, you really don't need that many reinforcements to hold properly. But then ask yourself, well, where can I put those reinforcements? Maybe I can set something up and then roam around that. Maybe I do some reinforcements off the site and it allows me to roam. And like maybe we have 2 reinforcements left over, even though this site really does need all of them. And at the start of the round, you come over and you reinforce the party breach. So that way, when you're roaming over this side, it's harder for them to get into this portion of the map, and it gives you some like safety places to move and rotate around. And you could do that as a Jaeger. You could put down all your ADSs, run off the site, do 2 reinforcements, and then roam in that area whilst you've provided your ADSs for site. And that's a really good habit to have. That's all for this masterclass. Thank you for watching. As always, links are in the description to Fiverr, where I do offer one-on-one coaching. Other than that, have a great day. Bye-bye.